So PEADUBS is our American counterpart. So we cater for all over the world, really. I think we've got pretty much people from just about everywhere, aren't we, Pete?
We have, from what I have seen, we've got North America, we have Europe, we have Australia. I don't know if we have South America, Asia, or African drivers, but we do have three of the seven continents. And if we ever get one from Antarctica, that would be wild.
We've done well. Um, so yeah, we've race two took place last Sunday, the 20th. So it's a British track at Snetterton. Uh, if you're new to the stream, the way that Cerberus does it is we have a randomizer at the end of each series, which picks all our tracks. So race two was picked as Snetterton, and then the Friday before the race, because we're race on a Sunday, the time is picked again at random, and then we look at the local real weather. So the time for Snetterton's race was 5 a.m., which worried me slightly because looking at the weather front that was moving in all week, it looked like it was going to be either a wet or a variable wet race. So it looked like it was going to be sunny with pretty much downpours. However, as we got onto the Saturday afternoon, the heavens disappeared and it was a nice, glorious, bright sun, which you'll see within the stream itself. It made for some good pictures, I thought. Although the sun was a little bit bad on some of the corners, wasn't it, Pete?
It was really pretty, and really pretty does not necessarily mean great racing conditions. Although it was a fantastic race, uh, I think probably one of the biggest difficulties that most of the drivers had with that race was track temperature. Being very early in the morning, even though it wasn't raining, getting grip seemed to be very difficult with the track temperatures being as low as they were. And I know multiple drivers were going around just waiting for the track to warm up, and it just seemed like it never did. So there were complications with it, but all in all, it was a great race. Everyone did very well. Going back and looking at the stewarding, one of the shortest stewarding sessions that we've had since my joining, not just in terms of time of stewarding, but in incidents. We only had 10, I believe, and on average, I would say we're kind of like 18, 19 into the 20s. So great job from everyone on track today.
Yeah, so we took the feedback, revised the rule set from race one, um, streamlined it for race two. So the way that we work within Cerberus, we run stewarding software if no one's available to do the live stewarding. At the end of the race, we've got a group of stewards. We do a live stream of the race and of the incidents, so it's public to see, so everyone can see if there's the mistakes have been made, and then we go off the rules that we've made from there and come up with a decision whether it's a time penalty or no further action or warnings. And it seems to get good feedback, I think, because it's quite transparent. It's not just somebody sat behind closed doors saying, you've done a bit of a door bang or a bit of a scary overtake, which has caused somebody to spin out, and I'm giving you a 30-second penalty, which has happened in a few of the other groups that I've been part of, and I'm sure
Hmm.
just listening to that, people will say, yeah, I've been part of those groups as well. But we don't do that here. We've got a nice streamlined bit of ruling for everyone to see, and then the stewarding really opens it up for that.
I think one of the biggest things that Cerberus did that convinced me that this was the group I wanted to race with was the stewarding. I've raced online with plenty of people, and going through Cerberus and seeing, okay, so there was an incident on track that is taken into account afterwards to modify what might be the finishing position. That meant a lot to me. The idea that you can't just come on, try to blue shell your way through the grid and win that way. It's not going to work that way on here, and it's taken pretty seriously. I'm not saying that it like stops the fun, but it's something, the officiation of it really does make it's more meaningful.
It's got rid of the drivers that we joined a series to get rid of as well. I'm sure everybody's been on Monza at turn one, where we get the
Right.
dive bombers that try and take you out because they try and do 30 positions into corner one. You know, I'm not saying that we don't get some good maneuvers, but it's eliminated a lot of the drivers that try and win a race going into corner one. And that's
The
not to say that,
tomfoolery.
yeah, it's not to say that we don't get them from time to time, but generally the rule set weeds them out. Um, we've not had any red flags yet, touch wood. So we've not had to do any of that. We've had a few moments where it's took a little bit more stewarding. But overall, we've got some of the best drivers I've raced against in a public series that's not paid for. It's not behind closed doors. And yeah, I think overall the group just keeps growing and keeps getting the better drivers brought in, and the AMs are moving up to pro AMs, the pro AMs are moving up to pros. So we're getting the talent either in or experience from driving at such a tight knit community. So if it's something you're interested in, the Discord's flashing up at the bottom of the screen. We're also on SimGrid, so you can see the local events. But definitely join the Discord, jump on, chat with us, have some banter, have some laughs, and check out the end of race meme channel. Because if anybody does make any slight errors and mistakes, it's a tight knit group, so you can be certain that there'll be a meme created generally,
I've had mine.
generally at your expense. But overall, yeah, Snetterton was a great race. So we'll get into the highlights and we'll start going through there. But as Pete alluded to, it was 14 degrees. Started to warm up towards the end, so it's a 60-minute race. Sort of halfway through, the temperatures just started to rise slightly. So around, I think I pitted about the 37-minute mark because me and Arik was just trying to play mind games to see who was going to last the longest on the
Right.
track because I think we were both within a couple of seconds of each other. I think I'd just got a decent lead back on him and tried to hold him out as long as I could. But when I looked down, I'd got one lap with a fuel left, so it was like, well, I'm going to have to pit now.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pit. And then he tried to nip me in the bud by not taking tyres, but I'll not ruin any more of the highlights from that.
Right.
As
Mark and
always,
I, oh,
no, go.
I was gonna say Mark and I had a great battle at the beginning and at the end. I have a bad habit of trying to push too hard, and that's typically where I'll make my mistakes. So, a strategy that I used was at around the 25-minute mark, Mark Kutz, who was behind me, pitted, and it kind of bit me in the ass, but I did, in the end, it worked out. What I did was I took a lot of the pressure off me and I kicked up my traction control, and I started doing laps that were maybe like half a second slower than what I could do if I was pushing. And I made it to about the 35-minute mark when I went to pit. and Mark just never stopped pushing. So me coming out of the pits, I actually came out behind Mark. And well, I'll leave it to the highlights to show if they show any of those changes, but pit strategy was really crucial in position, and I loved it.
I always think that I've got the pit strategy game sorted, and then during the race, I'm always like, do I come into pit now? Do I leave it a bit longer? Can I stretch it a bit longer? Do I need tyres? Is it worth
Yep.
the extra 5 seconds? So if you've not seen race one, the way that we've started doing it now is we've got fixed fueling, 25 seconds regardless if you put 1 litre in or 100, because we started to get a few splash and dashes, which open the grids up slightly in Series 2 and Series 1. So we just thought, how can we keep the grid a bit more tighter? And it's not to say that, the pit strategy just doesn't work. There is still a pit strategy because it's all down to how long you leave it. Do you waste an extra 5 seconds to take tyres to last another 30 minutes? Do you risk it? It's all still there, but equally it still brings in the nice um, close racing that we wanted from the other two
Mhm.
series. So it's something that's been fed back, and I think it's working. But yeah, without further ado, I think we'll just go into the patrons. So big shout out to all the patrons keeping the lights on at Cerberus as always. So we've got Nick, Gavin, Paul, Steve Jordan, aka Tex, Mark, Eric, Martin, Matt, Michael, Christine and Kirk Nicholson, Tony, and yourself, Pete.
Yes, I am.
So big shout out to all them. And if it's something that you'd be interested in, we are on Patreon. We've got an extra server that we run all week, which is a Patreon only server. And we've got some cool prizes for Christmas raffle coming up, which is sim gear related. So stay tuned for that.
Hmm.
Right, let's have a look at the 5 a.m. 14-degree terrible sun.
Let's get to it.
So, as always, we will start with the grid. So I'll let my glorious assistant work his way down the name sheet, and I'll give you a nice pan of the cars, so you get some nice liveries in there.
Starting on the front row, we have our pro driver Todd Brown in the Porsche. And then this is Youssef bin Suhail. Uh, this was his first race with us in the McLaren. Then in the second row is myself, Peter Wasinski, in the Lamborghini, and Paul Simon in the Lamborghini, in the 420 Lamborghini. Starting for the Pro Am class is Mark Kutz in the Ferrari, followed by Mr. Ash Leach in the Lamborghini Huracan. Back into the Pro category is Gavin Sullivan in the McLaren, followed by Eric Roguski in the Mercedes AMG 2020, back in the Pro Am class. That's the end for our Pro class. Then we have Kirk Nicholson on the fifth row in the BMW, followed by, I believe it's Connor, correct?
Yeah,
Connor Jalowiecki? The name gets me.
I'd have just gone with
Uh,
Connor.
with Connor Jalowiecki in the Ferrari 296. In the sixth row, we have Martin Story in the Ferrari, followed by Christine Beef Tiger. I'm sorry, BF Tiger Nicholson. Tried to throw the nickname in there and I did my joke one. That's on me, Christine. Sorry. In the seventh row, Tony Hertzeg in the Ferrari, followed by Nicholas Peltzel in the Porsche. Going into the eighth row, we why'd you get rid of that? Why'd you
uh,
get? help me out here.
Sorry, wrong button.
We have Stephen Biles in the McLaren, followed by Steve Jordan, Tex in the McLaren. Steve Jordan is the first of our AM category, finishing out the Pro-Ams. In the 9th row is Yusuf. What is Yusuf's first name?
Good question. Well presented. Yusuf. Although.
Yusuf. Yusuf in the BMW, followed by Fieldy in the Ferrari. Racing from the back
Stacey.
is Stacy Ellis in the Porsche 992, followed by Steve. I think his name is Steve Tonkin, a rookie in the Mercedes AMG 2020. And this guy, he's a rookie. He's playing on controller. I really appreciate him being in this race. There was a point where I had to pass him as a back marker, and I know he tried his best to be smooth on the track as a rookie. So I feel like we can work with him, make him better. I don't know much about what we can do with him on controller, but he's got the heart to be on the track with us, so I appreciate him.
So
And
that
that is our starting grid.
I was just going to say that rounds us out nicely. That so as always, the white is pros, the dark greys are the pro-ams, and the reds are the ams. So there's a little bit of a mix-up. As you can see, Gav finished qualified in 7th, and Tex qualified 16th. So a little bit out of place with a couple of drivers, but overall they was nice and tight knit in quali. There was no one that really looked like they were going to get promoted or relegated.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. So what we'll do, we will hit play. So we will go 3, 2, 1. So Bin Soyel moving in for a defensive position on yourself there, Pete.
Paul actually overtakes me here. He qualified behind me, but he got a better entry there.
Yeah, Mark
And
does me there as well. Gets a nice tighter line coming down. I was just focusing on keeping the yellow Mercedes behind me. So Arik is one of my main close competitors within the series championship so far.
But this, just to say, really, really big kudos to all people who participated in this race. Typically, especially with newbie drivers on the track, there's usually some contact and a yellow flag within the first couple minutes of the race, and just clean start. I don't think there was a contact for the first 10 minutes.
No.
What a beautiful thing.
So
let's see here.
Lap 3, Connor obviously just goes off slightly as we approach into the corner, which allows Kirk to fire past. And as you can see, the other Nicholson is now breathing down Connor's neck as well. The Beamers are really exceptionally well set up for this. So it's yourself now on Paul.
Look at that. I'm in the highlight reel. Look at this. Yeah, Paul goes wide.
Oh, yeah. He goes really wide. Yeah.
Wide.
I don't know where he thought the track was, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think that was.
Why doesn't Paul get hit when he's off track? What is it? What is
I know,
it with
yeah.
you?
I think that was more down to somebody had took the 300-yard marker out and caught Paul out with that one. There we go. I'm making excuses for him now.
Well, here we go. Is this Mark taking Paul or Paul taking the position back?
So this will be Paul taking the position back.
Whoa, Paul.
Well.
No.
Well.
Well, we got to see that. Oh,
Uh,
no!
can't park there, sir.
Comes back out in ninth after Arik, or eighth after Arik. Arik would go up a position.
He's working
Paul,
his way back down though.
he is driving very aggressively for someone that's gone off at turn 1 twice. Oh, Arik! Oh my good man, turn 1 is
It
killing us.
it was the pressures, I think. You know, the temperatures, because it's quite a
Hmm.
cold. It's probably one of the coldest races, bar a night wet Nürburgring race I've ever done.
You know what I think it is? Everyone's getting scared of that tree. There's that spooky tree near turn 2. I'm sorry, and everyone sees it and they're like, ah, scares them.
Connor working his way nicely past Nick, who's driving the deadly Porsche there, doing Porsche
Hmm.
things.
Connor got really great exit speed onto that straight around Nicholas.
The Ferrari, I think, is a well balanced car again. It sort of got
Hmm.
ruined. So this
So what?
is. I take a little bit of a wider line than I wanted to here.
I
See,
saw you hit that. You hit that curb. You were off on the kerbals.
yeah, so I see Paul and Gav battling behind me, and obviously they're in the pro category, so I just yield the position to not hold those two up.
Not the worst decision.
No, it does cost me slightly though, because it puts Arik a little bit closer than I would have liked, because I had quite good pace on this.
Yeah, we can see Tonkin in the back there. He was just trying to get out of the way of some more of the veteran drivers.
So I yield for Paul, and then Paul
Yeah.
continues battling with Gav, but it means that I've lost 2 seconds on
Time.
Arik now, yeah. So it puts Arik within 2.6 of me. So it gave me a little bit of a uncomfortable position to be in when I didn't really need to do it.
All right, so here we go with Paul actually getting to make a move on Gavin. He's going into the oh, Gavin braking a little too late into that turn, and Paul gets to take advantage of that. As you are well aware, that is a tricky turn.
It's yeah, it's very easy, depending on what car you're in, to lose it on there. There's Christine working her way past Martin. Martin's first race in the Ferrari is an AMG man, so I think he'll probably find himself back in the AMG. I don't think he got on particularly well with it.
Ooh,
That's not the
oh no,
line I would
Christine.
have taken there, Christine,
Oh my
but
goodness.
Martin seems to take an even worse line than you.
Get him next time, Tiger. Here we go. So Niklas gonna make a move around these turns,
Oh,
and there
some
goes
nice
Paul.
sparks off Paul, yeah. There's quite a few
See
stacked
Eric
up on the
coming in
grass
the
there.
background. Niklas, I remember Niklas mentioning that it was like driving on ice at a certain point. He just had such little grip.
So this is a
This is proper battle.
yeah.
You
So
guys are both fighting for this position.
Kirk is a lot faster than me, and I hit the curbing before.
Sausage.
Yeah, the curbing before we go in, which is where the sparks, and it unbalanced the rear. I could have probably got back on track a little bit earlier, but I didn't want to jeopardise Kirk position. And to be fair, it doesn't show it on there, but he's hunting me down for 2 laps. And the Beamer was just phenomenal on the straight. So trying to hold that off was just causing me grief.
Marco's a little bit wide at that turn, and I get to capitalize on that.
It's caused a lot of people issues, that corner, hasn't it?
It certainly has. Those last few corners are so crucial.
This is where Kirk's got past me and is hunting Arik down. So these are all for positions now. So Arik,
That turn is a killer.
well, Arik didn't change his tyres, so back to the pit strategy. So
Oh.
I was leading Arik going into the pits, and then he shoots around, gets in the pits, and manages just to come out in front of me. And I was like, how has he managed that? And then after the race, he said that I perhaps should have changed my tyres. So you and Mark doing a little bit of a switch around.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. Ah. The shame. Here we
These
go,
two
Paul.
just continually battled the whole way through.
Mm-hmm. That's
Again.
turn one. That's exactly the thing that I just did. Gavin wasn't able to bring it back onto the line, though.
So I think Paul had got a bit of a mishap going into the pits, which is what's knocked him down the pecking order a little bit. We've lost quite a few drivers. I mean, 2 of them got disconnected in this for internet issues.
Right. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, I love it.
That was a nice move, that.
That was great by Gavin. That was fantastic. Up the inside.
A nice little switchback. Is he going to make it stick? No.
Ooh, Gavin. Cheers. Okay. Are we going to see this? Is the... Oh, nope. Paul didn't have the speed to get alongside.
This is... He's obviously done it because Paul's now a couple of places in front of him. So I believe...
I think Gavin must have made a mistake or pitted.
Yeah, Gavin
Something
had
like
the pit issue, didn't he, where he didn't put any fuel
Look
in.
at that! Kudos to Byler on that switchback. Gavin had him on the inside and then went a little wide. Byler going up and retaking the position. Very good move. One of our resident aliens, Todd Brown, crossing the finish line.
Yeah, I can't even remember what time he did, but he did an exceptional... There you go, 1:45.7 was Todd's best. 1:45.767. Yeah, a bit faster than I probably would have ever got. I think the best I've ever done on it is the 46.7, so he's an entire second quicker than me.
I want to say that my fastest time was a 47.0, and I remember driving and like trying so hard. Can I just have it say 146? Please just say 146. Could not make it happen.
Let's see if we've got the glorious racing of me and Arik. See if it'll show you without it taking off. Ah, that's why we're going to go back to the other format.
Well, here's what I want to ask. In these highlights, was there an overtake that you said, hot diggity shit, that was a beautiful overtake? And what is your overtake of the race?
Good question. Let me while we're thinking of that, I will bring up the fuller highlights and find it, because the problem is with the replays, the 15-minute replays or whatever they are.
Right, it only picks them. So your favorite highlight, your favorite overtake of the race, it did not even make it onto the highlight reel.
No, which...
That is a shame.
That wounds me deeply.
Ugh. Well, I want to see it. If I had to go off of just the highlight reel that we just watched, I have to say it was Gavin taking Paul on the inside there. Gavin and Paul had quite a few battles in that race, taking position, after position. A lot of those overtakes were, someone overshooting the braking, ending up in the grass. But that one between Gavin and Paul at turn two, where both of them were on the road, Gavin went to the inside and took the position, and they just fought side by side for the next two turns.
So
That
I've put up
fantastic.
the main one on the Twitch, so you'll now be able to see the fuller one. So I'll show you the tight racing that me and Arik had, which is
Mm.
what we're getting at, because it is some nice close racing. So Arik doesn't change his tyres and ends up with a slow puncture. I've ended up with just shy of 9 seconds worth of damage due to an earlier move that I try and pull on Arik, and scared myself slightly, so clipped the barrier, which I don't know. It was only a light hit, but it still caused me 9 seconds worth of damage somehow.
Right. And that damage, it's not easy to just say, oh, I got 9 seconds of damage. It's affecting me horribly. I've come out of things where I've only gotten like 4 seconds of damage, but it was damage to like my rear arrow, and it just makes the race a nightmare. You
Yeah,
lose you lose rear arrow in the Lambo, and it's like, oh boy, that's you're on ice with just like shoes. It's so slippy.
this was all front as well,
Mm.
so it was causing me a bit of a turning issue. The problem that I'd done is I'd gambled the air ducts for the brakes, so I dropped it right down to 2, which certain points of the track were alright, but the corner after corner, first couple of corners and the last couple of corners, was causing the brakes to heat. So I don't know whether that was just causing me a bit of brake fade. Luckily, there were enough long straights in the race itself that allowed me to catch back up. So this is what we meant by the tonking with the amateur on the blue
Right.
flag situation. Really switched on, allowing you to get past without having to do any silly dive bombs, and he must have had eyes everywhere.
He was being so cautious through the whole race, just trying not to be a danger to anyone else. I was actually in the voice chat with him for the race, talking with him, and there is a funny part, and I'll show you one of the biggest anxiety inducing moments of my race in a little bit, but he really did attempt to do his best to not be a hindrance, and I really appreciate him for that.
So
So
this is shortly when we're looking at getting on Arik now. So I started reeling him right in. A couple of little mistakes by Arik, but equally balanced by me as well.
who's this in front of you? That's
So
Story?
no, that's Fieldy.
That's
So
Fieldy.
yeah.
Oh, I see. I was looking at the race positions, and yeah, a couple of our AM drivers a few laps down, but that's fine. It's their first race with us, and
It doesn't help with how fast Todd is as well. I mean, you only have to
yeah,
by the end of the race, I think it was it 40 laps, something like that, 37 laps. So you've only got to be a couple of seconds off Todd's pace, and it soon mounts up to a full lap by the end.
So ridiculously fast. Resident alien.
So I believe Arik shortly clips an apex and causes. Oh, it's happened 2 laps back, and he's losing pressure as we speak. Because I noticed when I was driving that I was catching him considerably. And I think he steps out on this one, just goes a bit wide, which allows me to
Yep.
just catch up with him and start getting into the draft.
I know that.
However, I'm conscious I don't want to make a move on this corner because this is the corner where I got the 8 seconds worth of damage by trying the up the inside.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Why does that sound familiar?
So I try and go for it here. It's a little bit of a dive, a little bit wide, and then a little bit of a touring
Oh!
car. A little bit touring carish. And
Oh man. Very, very nice. That was a nice attempt on the switchback by Eric also. I guess he just couldn't get the grip.
no, he's really struggling by this point.
Right.
When I talked to him at the end of the race, I think he was down to 24.5 on one of the tyres with the slow puncture. But by this point, Kirk is pretty much well ahead.
Right. So now it's just a matter of holding position against Eric and closing out the race.
It's just limit damage control now and try and bring it home for a podium finish for Pro-Am.
So how many laps of this race are left at this point? This is the last few. Can you go to my car and just bring up me and Mark? Just right where we are now. So I want to say it's possibly even the next lap, but after I came out of the pits, I came out of the pits about 8 seconds behind Mark. Mark has an accident at that under bridge section where he goes off, hits Story, that whole debacle, right?
Yeah, just doesn't turn, does he? Just goes straight.
He did not get grip as he broke. He just tried a little bit too late. And then once you're in the grass on Snetterton, you might as well just let go of the steering wheel.
It's shut your eyes and you end up where you end up, I think.
Right. So Mark makes this mistake and I get to capitalize, and now you can see I'm ahead. And I'm keeping the gap to about 1.5 seconds. Can you go to the front of my car? Just kind of give a little bit of rotation there. I mean, like, see in front of the car.
Oh, okay.
Do it so smooth. So this is this has to be the incident that I'm thinking of, I believe, is this upcoming lap, maybe? How much time is left in the replay?
We're just entering lap 34, 35.
So what I'm looking for is that pink Mercedes. It's, you know what? It's highly possible I've already missed this highlight. It's kind of hard to tell because there's no real like track map to see where everyone is. Can we go back to like lap what is this? 33, so maybe like lap 30 or lap 31. It really is the last few laps. Try lap 31 because I'm passing up a few back markers. Geez, lap 32?
I think you're making this up. Did this happen?
It certainly did. What is...
PEADUBS, everyone. PEADUBS, everyone.
Oh my god. You see, now one moment, because now I'm gonna have to just... I'm gonna search for it, because I don't want to. I don't want to come off as a liar now. Feeling like a liar.
I want to show the overtake that Kirk pulls on.
It was lap 29.
29.
I found it. Yeah, so let's look at Kirk. Once again, just doing a fantastic job.
Watch the speed of this, right? It is absolutely frightening. So there's like certain bits of the track where I pull away from him, and then I look again, and all I can see is a BMW badge, and I'm like, how is this happening? So that was my downfall there with the sparks, and it just... So like I said, I could have come back on a little bit earlier, but yeah, it'd have probably jeopardised Kirk's line there, and for the sake of one position, I'm not ruining somebody's race.
I'm genuinely pretty surprised to see Christine go off, because from just the few races that I've seen with them, they're both very consistent and they're really quick.
I think
It's impressive.
Christine was helped into the pits by Todd as well.
Oh, right. Yes. Todd assisting Christine into the pits. One of my favorite stewarding moments. Just my God. Right. So if you could go to the beginning of lap 29, I did find it. My apologies for wasting everyone's time.
No, it's fine. I'm just going to show, while we've got Kirk on and while we're in this position, the overtake on Arik. Because he just hunts Arik down. Because he's 4 seconds off Arik at the minute. Just bear that in mind.
Could we fast forward maybe 10, 20 seconds?
So where are we at now? So it's 3.6.
Yeah, just keep moving it. Maybe like playback speed it up, and that way we can get to the battle.
So this is...
So he's cutting off like 0.2. Oh, he cut off a lot of time there. He had to have.
Just
what do we got?
2.7 now, so that's 5 tenths.
In just a sector. Next sector line coming up.
Yeah, it's 2.2, so again just shy of 6.
So he's cutting off about a second to a second and a half per lap.
He actually does.
Really cut off time.
He actually does the best. I think that was his fastest lap as well, so he got the overall best lap for Pro-Am.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I think it was 47.3. So he was really powering on there. He's massively in the groove. Um, and I've dropped off there. I'm nearly 2 seconds behind him now. So I had some real big ground to make up on these two. But the overtake is class because they end up battling a little bit, which allows me just to nip a bit of time back. It still takes me another 4 laps, I think, to catch Eric.
So just to touch base on this overtake, is this the overtake of the race that you were talking about?
Oh, I think the overtake of the race is the door banging between me and Eric. I think.
Gotcha. No, it's fine. You can like your own stuff. People vote for themselves all the time. Oh, that's cool.
Not that I'm biased.
Uh, so if
Right,
you
go on.
could go to lap 29, beginning of lap 29. Right. So now I've got the back markers in front of me. We've got Fieldy, we've got Tonkin right ahead of me, and I've got Mark about a second and a half behind me. And when I tell you the pressure that this causes me, go back up to Tonkin. Tonkin is trying so hard to keep it clean, to not get in the way. And I was gonna go on the inside, and then he decides to like open up the outside for me to pass. And I'm like, I wasn't like yelling at him in the race, but now look at Mark.
So Mark's not actually racing for position; he's just racing purely to
No,
put
no, no,
pressure on you.
no. Mark is. Oh yeah, I suppose.
So you actually put unnecessary pressure on yourself.
Oh, I do. I always do. We've talked about this. That is I am my worst enemy.
Look at the
I
chase
don't
cam.
even need to. I don't even need to race Mark. We're in different categories, but it's the principle of the matter. Mark is a much more experienced and consistent driver than me. We've Mark and I have been racing for a little over a year now against each other and like Assetto Corsa and the Formula One games. Um, he's he's been doing it for a long time. I'm relatively new. Uh, but this race, even though we're in different categories, and Mark uh, putting in work to possibly join pro category also, but even though we are in different categories, it's really important to me to show Mark, hey, I am improving. Check this shit out.
I think the well, I don't think I know so, but the racing, like you said, was very clean. Um,
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. There were some really good pockets of battles, and the good thing about the series overall is you find somebody that you want to race against, you stick with racing against them, and
Hmm.
there's a bit of rival action between it. Um, so
You don't
yeah,
get that in LFM. Everyone in LFM, it's just like thousands of drivers just pop into something. Like you will see familiar names, but there's no chit chat, there's no chatter, there's no rivalry built up in those races because the next race you might never see that driver again.
yeah, exactly. Um, do you want to run through the final positions and then do the overall standings for the positions? I think it would be
Can
nice
do.
to give people the update from race two. So You
Before
know,
I do that, while I'm loading that up, would you mind bringing up a clip that I found it intensely hilarious?
yep, fire away.
Go to the very end of the race when I cross the finish line, uh, and end my race, and just keep the camera going forward. And I'll bring up the results in the standings.
Oh yeah, that's a Code Brown moment.
Yes,
Oh dear.
I cannot see it, because you just have the just chatting thing up right now. If you've got the thing
Yeah,
going.
I shall show everybody what he means. Now I've found it.
Like, thank God, pressure is off, finishing the race, and very excited to take second place on the podium. Uh, I'm not catching Todd, not for a long time, so this is about as good as I can hope for. I am so relieved right now. Here I come around turn one. What do we see? Byler doing donuts.
I mean, the thing for me was, we lost two drivers, one of which was putting a bit of pressure on Todd. He got
Hmm.
disconnected with his internet, so hopefully round three has got no issues. However, I think race three at Bathurst is just probably going to be a survival.
Yeah, I don't know about the technical issues. It's just gonna be skill issues around Bathurst. So, going into the results for the pro category, we have Todd Brown taking the gold overall for the race. Well, for the race overall, followed by myself, then Paul Simon rounding out third. Gavin Sullivan came fourth in the pro category, and Yusuf bin Sail, uh, unfortunately, did not finish. He suffered uh, connection issues, and talking about that, I hated talking about that and just being like, well, does he get awarded points? He did really well. We just have to treat it like a mechanical failure in the race. It's a DNF, and it really stinks. He was putting together a beautiful race, but he's going to have to drop that race.
It's an unfortunate thing that is. I don't think you can ever ask anybody in ACC that has got quite a few hours in that's not suffered something like that. I mean, me, Todd, and Paul,
Hmm.
we were in a 6 hour Nürburg. We were fourth, with Todd due to get into the driver's seat, and he would have been 2.5 seconds faster than first place. And after 2.5 hours, we got a driver swap sync issue, and it DQ'd us. So
Heartbreaking.
we ended up getting retired from the race after 2.5 hours. So it happens, and don't get me wrong, it is frustrating when it does happen, but fortunately, it's few and far between.
Next up in the Pro Am category, my good friend Mark Kutz in the Ferrari taking first in the Pro Ams, followed by Kirk Nicholson in the BMW, and you, Mr. Ash Leach, taking the bronze in Pro Am in the Lamborghini Huracan. Behind Ash in fourth is Eric Roguski. Fifth, taking fifth is Connor Joliviecki. Sixth place, Nicholas Petzel. Seventh place, Stephen Biles. Eighth place, Christine Nicholson. Ninth place, Martin Story. And then 10th and 11th place, Tony Herzig and Majid Yusuf, who both did not finish. Unsure if that was connection issues or
Tony's were a disconnect, yeah.
Tony's was a disconnect. So it does happen. It's heartbreaking, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Finally, going into the M category, we have Simon Tonkin in that pink Mercedes taking first place of the M category, followed by Sean Field in the Ferrari, and then an unfortunate did not finish from Stephen Tex Jordan and Stacy Ellis. What this does for our standings for the pro category, just going through first, second, third, we have Todd Brown in first with a total of 56 points after the lowest value is dropped. So as of right now, this one race, is it one race dropped?
Yeah, so we've got a one drop race rule, just to allow if people can't make it and whatnot. Some people decide that, like last week, they didn't want to race at Snetterton, which is fine. However, once you've used the drop race, that is it.
That's it.
Yes. So your worst race will be the drop race. So if you get a DNF or a DNS or anything like that, that will be counted as your
Counted.
drop race. Yeah.
So with the most points per round as of right this, well, as let me start that sentence over again. The current standings for the pro category are Todd Brown in first place with 56 points, Sandro Van Sand with 55 points in second place, and myself, Peter Wasinski, in third place with 49 points. In the Pro Am category, top three, we have Connor Jalowiecki taking first place with 55 points. Actually, there is a tie between Connor Jalowiecki and Mr. Mark Kutz, both with 55 points in the standings, followed by Kirk Nicholson in third place with 50 points. And in the Am category, we have Stephen Tex Jordan with 56 points. In first, Simon Tonkin with 55 points in second, and Sean Field with 50 points in third.
Overall, it's
So,
a really tight championship. There's between the top six in Pro Ams, for instance, you've got
mhm,
15 points. So, a fast lap um, and a first place is going to really mix up the grid. Um, so I think that the quality is great this series. Same for the
mhm,
pros as well. It'd be nice if we can try and get a few more pros in just to strengthen the field a bit. But the pros that are in are, of all similar strength, similar times. There's always going to be a track that somebody's faster on than somebody else,
right.
um,
Well,
which is what
it
mixes it up, I think.
it's close, but we're only 2 of 8 races in. Uh, you can join us in a couple weeks on September 3rd. We're going to Bathurst, the infamous Mount Panorama, where there are no small accidents. So let's.
Got
I'm sure that the standings are going to receive some shakeup after that race, and then we've got quite a season still to go.
I'm undecided on the setup that I'm going to use at the minute, whether it's going to be a slow, steady, and survive setup or a fast, shut your eyes, try and survive the mountain.
We've got
Um,
one more week to figure it out.
but yeah, stay tuned. We've got some nice new things in the pipeline, so they'll be announced shortly. Discord is on the bottom of the screen, and SimGrid is where all the events, either upcoming for the series, or the fun races, or the multi-driver swap races, will be announced. So yeah, thank you for watching. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but as always, we're open to any constructive criticism. So anything that you want to see within the highlight reel, anything that you want to see changed, anything that works, just let us know, drop us a line, and we'll try and get it sorted moving forward. But thank you from me.
Yep. And, you know, from all of us at Cerberus Virtual Racing, thank you for joining, and we hope to see you again.
Ciao now.
Bye.